Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Good evening. Uh, Hope you're having a lovely evening. And my name is Emily, and I am one of the owners of Sling.
And I'm Jenny, and I'm the other owner of It's the Sling thing.
We are both sling consultants, and as well, obviously, we have a large sling library, and we offer consultations and advice to a wide array of parents in the UK. Anything you'd like to add, Jen, about what we do?
I do, so I pack up all of the orders. The Sling Library lives here. Um, and I do a lot of phoning people who are ordering from us or looking to order from us and talking through their current situation and what they want out of a carrier and trying to find um, a short list of recommendations that could work for them. Um, yeah.
So, what we want to talk about tonight is a bit about how slings can help you in different scenarios. So, the image of a sling is still not the mainstream image. It's still something people think of as something quite niche. So, we just want to have a little talk to you tonight about all the different ways that it can be helpful, all different scenarios that it can be helpful in, and why, really. Okay, so I have a tiny little presentation and everything. Okay, so what we've been talking about the whole of this month is the idea of slings as tools, that they're for everyone, that they're useful in a wide variety of situations, that they are like any other parenting tool. And based on what we've been talking a bit about is that the lives that we lead nowadays,
I've lost you, Anne. Oh, you're back.
back, excellent.
I got the lives that we lead.
Okay, the lives that we lead are busy and complicated and occasionally have technical problems. Slings don't help with technical problems.
I I think about for parents a really big thing, especially while they're pregnant with their first child, is picking the pushchair. And people pick different pushchairs because people think that they want to do different things with their pushchairs. Some people want the one that has the lift in, lift off car seat. Some have the ones with the lying flat um, pram. Some have really lightweight buggies. Some have running buggies. Some have ones with pneumatic tires, and some have solid tires. There are loads and loads of options, and the buggy that you pick, what it looks like and what it does, are all about what you think you want to do, what your intention for using a pushchair is. Slings are just like that. If if you want to keep your baby close all the time, slings, well, all of the slings we have can be a way of doing that. If you want to keep a baby in an upright position because they are refluxy, if you want to walk the dogs, um, so if you want to be like I was talking yesterday to a mom who went up Snowdon with her 12-week-old baby, which she would have been unable to do with a pushchair, but she had a really comfy sling on hire, and so she went up Snowdon with her 12-week-old. But you might want a different carrier for that than for an immediate post-section breastfeeding aid. Um, so they're tools. What do you want to do with them? And then work from there. You know what you want to do with them. We can help you think what the best tool for the job might be.
So from that, what, in the last, this is just as it says lingering. Both of us have got experience working with parents in local libraries as well, but this is just people that we've worked with in the last year as it's the same thing. So we have done work with lots and lots of families who want to carry straight after giving birth, including post cesarean birth. And
including
so
post-cesarean birth carrying twins.
people who want to carry in pregnancy, which both of us have done as well. People who need to carry because they need to work in all sorts of different environments. And if you look on our Facebook page, we've been posting a few stories from different people there. People with mobility issues, whether that's because they're in a mobility scooter, they're on crutches, or they have problems moving limbs in certain directions, whatever that entails. We've worked with people with children with additional needs, including much older children.
Yeah, I think the oldest child that we've hired a sling out for has been 8 years old. So,
Um,
and they fitted easily into the
yeah.
preschool one part, I think. So,
For if you're breastfeeding, that giving yourself a hand back. We speak to a lot of parents where that's an important topic. Carrying multiple children, and we've talked a lot recently. We talked a lot in March, didn't we, Jen, about carrying multiple.
yeah, especially carrying twins. Um, but you can also carry children of different ages. So I probably seen some photos of me carrying both of my two, who are just under 2 years apart. Um,
Mine.
uh, yeah, it's
Um,
getting less
so
comfortable, but it's still possible.
carrying and using a wheelchair. We've done some work with some people recently about that. Carrying to help you through perinatal mental health issues, something both of us have some experience with. And again, something we've spoken to families about. And as Jen touched on earlier, carrying to help with reflux. And this is by no means an exhaustive list of the situations that we speak to families about.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Yeah, I can think of lots of kind of unusual situations that, well, they're not unusual situations. They're situations that are particular to each person's life. So they're individual situations, and that's what everyone's life is. It's it's individual. We are all different shapes and sizes. Our babies are different shapes and sizes. We have different comfort preferences. Our babies have different comfort preferences. Our babies have different medical conditions and developmental stages, and you know and we all want to do different things. I don't have dogs to walk, but I have chickens to feed them. You know, we all have different things that we want to achieve, whether it is getting the dinner on for the older kids and doing the school run or going up Snowdon.
And it's those questions that we kind of wanted to call your attention to. And one of the key things that we want people to come away from this is thinking about what they need. And these are the questions that we'll ask you, for instance, if you're having a consultation with us. So, what kind of things do you want to think about before you decide on what sling you might find useful? Why? Why do you want to carry? Is it safer for you to carry or more practical? If you're not carrying your baby in a sling, what will you be doing as an alternative with your baby? That's
That
quite
one's
a key one.
particularly, yeah, that one is, a lot of people say that they're not confident carrying after a cesarean section, which is an entirely fine decision to make. Um, and often it's based on kind of being told not to do things that are too strenuous. However, you might find that a sling, carrying your baby up the stairs in a sling, is less strenuous and less taxing than carrying your baby up the stairs in your arms. And if you've got someone around who can do the um, moving your baby around for you so that you can concentrate on moving yourself, then that's fine. And you may not have a need for a sling, but if the alternative is carrying a baby in arms, you might find that it is safer or more practical for you to use a sling, even when that doesn't appear to be the most intuitively obvious solution.
I think almost all of the families that we speak to who do want a sling, that's the conclusion that they've come to, that they've looked at the situation that they're in, they've worked out what they'd do if they didn't have a sling or carrier, and then decided that actually a sling or carrier would probably assist with the situation. So these are the kind of questions you're looking at. What are your limits and what are your baby's needs? So those all about you and your situation to think about. And then it becomes about the sling. Yeah.
So, yeah, all of the slings um, work differently, whether they are a long piece of fabric or a buckle carrier with a rigid waistband and shoulder straps, or something somewhere in between. Um, and so they all sit differently on your body. Where do you want it to sit on your body? Um, where on your body do you want your baby? Do you want them to be on your front, on your hip, on your back? Do you want one carrier to be able to do all of those? Do you want to be able to kind of move them between these positions easily? Um, so what can I tie or do up? Like, do you struggle with buckles? Would pinching small buckles be difficult for you? If so, would larger buckles be easier? Would something that didn't buckle at all but tied on be easier? Something that you pre-tied and put your baby in and out? Um, if you're going to be on your own, you need something that you can do without support. And what's comfy? And what's comfy can change. Um, for both you and your baby. Um, for example, your um, preferred sling immediately post C-section and your preferred sling for back carrying at 1 year old might be very different slings because it's a different it's a tool to do a different job at those two stages, and we will mostly try to help you find a carrier that is perfect for you at the moment. You can tell us that um, you can tell us what it is you want. And so if you want something that will last until 2 years old, we can tell you things that may well continue to work for you until 2 years old, but we can't promise that that the perfect thing for you now is also going to be the perfect thing for you at 2 years old, because you might need a different tool to do the job that you're doing then. And the job that you think that you're going to be doing at 2 years old might not be the one that you end up doing with that toddler that you haven't met yet, the toddler that you don't yet know.
Yeah. So when we talk about you thinking about your needs, what we're trying to emphasize here is that everyone's needs are different. So my needs, I have two children close together in age, like Jen, but now my needs, sling wise, are mostly the fact that they like to run in opposite directions. I need something that I can put my younger child generally up quickly, um, often while he's protesting, because I need him to be safe. And that is the important kind of need that I need to meet with my carrying at the moment. Whereas I met a woman today who had two older children and a newborn. Her need is to keep her newborn safe whilst being able to play with her older children. Those are very, very different and very different situations.
And
Mm,
so you suggest different slings for
yeah,
those situations. Uh, M's mostly using a preschool or toddler sized buckle carrier because they're really quick to get a child in well enough. They might not be perfectly comfortable. You might have to do some adjusting once they're in, but they're in and they're contained, and you can chase the older child. Whereas, um, well, for a newborn, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of options, um, but they're all um, you're more focused on maintaining a really good position and making sure that it is safe straight away because with newborns you need to be much more careful about maintaining their airways than you do with a 3-year-old because a 3-year-old is almost certainly going to maintain their own airways in most situations. Um, that's something that you start to be able um, to to take for granted somewhat. Whereas with a newborn, you need to be sure that they're well supported. So you want something that offers a perfect fit for them. You can make more compromises for speed when you're dealing with an older child. So you have different different options.
yeah. Shall we talk about some of these scenarios in more detail?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a one that you'd like to start with?
Oh, so um, if I hmm. So the lady I spoke to on the phone a few months ago with a frozen shoulder, um, I um, I found her on Facebook. There were lots of people suggesting carriers that they found really comfy, and a lot of them weren't aware of what kind of reduced mobility a frozen shoulder entailed. So a lot of people were suggesting um, their favourite carrier. So um, which is what people tend to do. If something has worked well for them, they tend to go, yes, try one of these. It's brilliant. Um, but all of them were likely to require a movement, this kind of rotating of the shoulder that she was unable to do. And so we had a conversation about what movements she could do, how able she was to use her shoulder that was unimpaired, um, the range of movement that she had in the shoulder um, that had the issue, um, and how she wanted to carry on currently on her front, but with the possibility of moving to a back carry. And we ended up, we looked at a Tula, we looked at a video of how you tighten a Tula on the front together, and she was pretty sure that she was not going to be able to do the pulling motion that she would need to do to tighten it. And we looked at doing it up with the chest strap already clipped because then there would be no reaching behind. But even just the pulling the shoulder straps tight, that wasn't going to be a possible movement. Um, However, we then looked at the scooter baby, and having the scooter baby, which has got it's a one-shouldered carrier, and it has a spreading fleece strap, and having that cup um, the the impaired shoulder meant that she could tighten with her unimpaired arm. She didn't need to do anything, and once the child was in, it was going to be comfortable. And she looked at it and agreed that all of those were movements that she could do. And she then went to her local library and tried one on, and it worked really well. Um, but a lot of um, yeah, a lot of carriers wouldn't have um, been easy or possible. The scooter baby has a waistband, so you can do the waistband up, lift the child in, and as long as you're holding onto the panel, they're not going to drop. So she didn't have to, like a ring sling is similar in terms of spread on one shoulder and being an asymmetric option, but there's more two-handedness needed to support the child and tighten it to get it secure before they're in. And the scooter baby was likely to be an option that she could manage on her own. But it worked really well.
One of the benefits of speaking to your local sling library, or to us, or to your local sling consultant, is that we work with a lot of different types of slings. We know how they tighten. We know where they sit on our bodies and on our clients' bodies, and we can make suggestions based on what you tell us of what we feel might be worth trying, and that will vary. So, like Jen said, if you're struggling with one shoulder, and a lot of movements where you need to tighten a lot of buckle carriers aren't going to work well for you. But if you've got problems with your lower back, then there'll be a whole different set of things that we'd be looking at to suggest.
And
So I've worked. Sorry.
good. And thinking about this, having said a lot of buckle carriers won't work, there are some features that you might look for that might help. So dual adjust buckles might help because if pulling backwards is difficult, then having the option to tighten pulling forwards might be a lot easier for you. Um, so all of these features that just sound like words, um, until you understand what they describe, they, yeah, finding out what the features are and what the implications of the features different carriers have um, is really useful.
Mm-hmm. So we, for instance, both carried during pregnancy. People, women when they're pregnant, find different things comfortable. So I very early on couldn't stand anything going over my chest or over my bump at all. Like, not before I even had a bump. I was uncomfortable with anything pressing on my chest or on my stomach. So I very quickly moved to carries that kept everything so high chest belt things and no waist belt. Um, so I used a met dye tied with the waist undone, or a carrier buckled up here. And those are kind of exclusively what I use, or a wrap carry occasionally with no waist belt, and that's what worked for me. But I've seen a lot of people comfortable buckling underneath their bump or buckling over their bump, tying something with wide straps under the bump to support. All sorts of options that are worth exploring. And again, knowing your range of motion, knowing where you have problems. So if you end up with SPD or PGP during your pregnancy, you might find you need things to support your hips, and therefore carrying in different ways becomes sensible. Some people like to front carry all through their pregnancy because that's what helps them feel comfortable. So again, it's about knowing your body, what's comfortable for you, and then knowing the options that are out there. And that's when talking to us or to your local thing like boosting consultants becomes a really positive thing that you can do to help.
And especially one of the reasons that it's really good to talk to people who have a lot of experience is that you can get some information from things like manufacturer's instructions. But most manufacturer's instructions are designed for people in their, thank you for the tea, um, are designed for people, well, that's thrown me. Most manufacturers' instructions are designed for people in the situation that they expect you as the customer to be in. So often, parents with a newborn baby, um, they might produce instructions that show you how to front carry. They might also produce instructions on how to back carry or hip carry in their carrier, but they probably don't produce instructions on how to optimize the carrier for best comfort when you're heavily pregnant and carrying a 1-year-old child. Um, so that's something that it can be much harder to find good, reliable, both safety and uh, just kind of hints and tips, good ideas for how to make things work for you. Um, and there's there's lots of really good information out there, but there's also some more questionable information out there and kind of instructions on what you can and can't do. Um, and some of the things that people have suggested that you can do might be entirely safe to do with a 1 year old or a child with good torso and head control, but would possibly be something that would be really dangerous to try to do with a newborn baby. Um, and it's worth knowing the limitations of different methods and different ways of doing things with different carriers, um, so that you make sure that you're using the tool that you're using appropriately for you and your child and the job that you're trying to do with it.
I think
There's something there was something else
that becomes.
I knew
That's
I
all
was
right.
going somewhere with that, and I can't remember where it was. Oh well.
I think that's something that becomes really relevant for things like carrying post cesarean, where you're going to be doing something that is essentially the normal scenario. You're going to be carrying a newborn, but you're going to be carrying a newborn after surgery, which affects your people's bodies in different ways, and it's going to have unexpected effects on your body, and you're going to have to be very careful about listening to those cues that your body is giving you and being aware of adjustments you might need to make through the carriers that you may have picked prior or have used prior, so that you and your baby are safe. So all of the same stuff applies about newborn safety, but also you need to be safe and you need to be comfortable. So Jenny wrote a lovely article about carrying post cesarean section and about keeping everything high and tight and trying to keep everything away from the muscles that have been cut during the surgery.
Yeah. And what different people are comfortable with, again, is different. Because some people find that they can't get their stretchy wrap to sit away from the incision, so they always end up with it around their waist. And some people find that they can tie it much lower and spread it more, and that having it kind of wrapped over but not putting pressure on, not digging in, is comfortable. Other people would prefer a ring sling so that everything is much higher up, that there isn't really anything at all below your ribcage level. And also you can get buckle carriers that can easily sit that high so that everything is kind of carried nice and high. But then I also spoke to some people recently who found a Tudor really comfortable um, straight after a cesarean, and um, that probably wouldn't have been something that I would have suggested, but it was working for them. So it's it's worth kind of having all of these guidelines in mind. But if what you have at home is a Tudor and a newborn insert or a Tudor free to grow, then try it. And if it works for you and it's not like it's supporting the baby, so that you're not doing extra work um, to correct your posture to have it better support the baby, and if it isn't upsetting or interfering with the incision, then go with what works, because it's an appropriate tool for the job. It's doing the job that you need it to do.
And those are kind of other big takeaway. If if you have something, your key point is it safe? Is it safe to carry your child? Is it safe for you to carry your child with it? If it's safe, then if you aren't uncomfortable and you can use it, then That's great. Maybe it's just the right tool for you right now, particularly if it's something you've already got. Whilst there might be other tools out there that could be more comfortable, you can usually make things that you have work. Not always, because there will be situations where that won't be true, but if it's safe for your baby and safe for you, then those are kind of your most important bits.
It's a good starting point. So then we're here to help you to optimize that, to talk you through what you might be able to do differently or better, um, whether or not it's a matter of it being not tight enough or over tight, whether or not it's got some um, adjustments that you aren't aware of, whether or not it is possible to use an accessory to make it more suitable. Those are all things that we can help with. Um, and generally, we will talk to you about what have you got now? What are you using? Is it working? What do you like about it? And what don't you like about it? Um, and that's often uh, when I'm talking to people and they're choosing some things to hire. Often people will hire more than one thing at a time so that they can compare things side by side. Um, and and they're concerned. What if neither of these are the option? Um, and it might be that neither of the things they try first are the perfect thing for them. But if they come back and tell me that they love the shoulder straps on one carrier and they really like the waistband on the other carrier, but they didn't get on with the direction of adjustment, or they didn't get on with the waistband on one of the carriers, then that narrows things down. So we can look at what has a different waistband, what has no waistband, what has straps that tighten in a different way, what are just a little bit smaller to give their baby a little bit more support at this stage, what spreads more on their back, what there's a whole range of things that we can get and apply to other carriers and other situations from knowing what it is that you do and don't get on with. Um, and we do this a lot. This is something that um, that we sort of start to get from experience. We talk to parents and find that people who say they like this and are this particular size or shape tend to get on well with these carriers. And so, yes,
Yeah,
we have that experience to draw on too.
my favourite experience is slim parents who like the idea of the ergo babies. They get on really well with the Feel Free to Grow because the
Yeah,
newer ergo babies don't tighten down.
yeah, and there are quite a few carriers that um, so one of the things that I often talk about is how broad are your shoulders? And this is something that a lot of people have never really thought about, and I've never really thought about it either until quite recently. But I've got quite narrow shoulders, and so I tend to get on much better with buckle carriers if they, when wearing them on the front, if you can cross the straps, because otherwise I find that I'm shrugging my shoulders back and trying to ensure that it doesn't feel like the straps are slipping off my shoulders, even though with a chest strap done up on the back, they're unlikely to be slipping off my shoulders. I still feel like they are. So I still correct, and then it isn't comfortable because I'm not holding myself in my natural posture. I'm doing something that puts me in an unusual, um, I can't think what the word is. Um,
The,
yeah,
your posture is out of its kind of normal position.
yeah, it's out of my kind of normal alignment. Um, and that tends to be uncomfortable because then I'm using my muscles in a very different way. I'm holding myself differently. It's not neutral. Um, and
Yes,
so
that's
we're looking for a carrier where you can stand in your normal, neutral position and still have your child's weight held into your body so that you feel like you're carrying it as though it is part of your body. and it isn't pulling away from you, and it isn't putting undue strain on you.
I guess what we're trying to get you to take away from the evening when you're picking a carrier, think about what you like the look of and what you think you might like to use, but also think about when you want to use it, why you want to use it, what situations are going to be in which you're going to use the sling, what you can do with your body, what your limits are, and start using that to kind of talk to someone who knows about the different kinds of carriers who might be able to give you a few suggestions to try. And that's basically the reason that we're here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's what we do.
So
Got
it
lots
is.
of people thanking me for spending time talking to them to find the carrier that's right for them. Like, no, it's fine. This is what
It's
we
my
do.
job.
Yep, it's my job. It's fun.
So yeah, we're It's a Sling thing. Hopefully you know that by now. And if you
Not my
are
t-shirt.
interested,
Not my t-shirt.
I didn't wear my t-shirt. Sorry. I didn't think about that.
I wore my
I
t-shirt because my toddler got food all over my top and I needed to change it. It was, and it was here.
I like it.
Yep, it's practical.
So
It was the tool for the job.
definitely. If you have any questions, if you want to talk through your options, please do get in touch. We do offer consultations. We offer 15-minute phone consultations for free, and we also offer phone and Skype consultations for longer durations. So we can chat to you on the phone, or we can show you things over Skype if you want to try stuff out. Please do get in touch. We love talking to you. We love helping people, and we love hearing your stories about what you do with our slings.
Yep. And I'd just like to take this opportunity to point out that my husband has brought me a cup of tea. Very on message. It says tool hire on the mug. There we go.
Thank you, Andy. Okay. Thank you very much for watching this. I hope you found it useful. If you want to leave any comments, please do. And yeah, and we'll try and answer them as much as possible wherever you see the video. So thank you very much. Good night.
Good night. Bye.
I'm going to turn this off, hopefully.